Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of I Like to Read with me, your host, Rachel Polanski. Today, I am very excited to be joined by my sorority sister because, surprise, I was in a sorority for 2 years. I don't ever really talk about it. And my friend and colleague and classmate, Addy Van Pelt. Welcome to the
Yeah.
show. So you have a blog and a podcast of your own if you'd like to give everyone a little background on your media-centric life.
Yes. So my blog is midwesternmermaid.com. Don't judge.
We'll,
It
uh,
was
we'll
a
link we'll
Tumblr.
link it down below, and we'll link
Perfect.
your podcast as well.
That was a Tumblr URL that I chose when I was like 15, and it's just
I like
stuck.
it. I like
So,
mermaids.
right, me too. I got a whole mermaid's half sleeve on my arm. So
Wait, do you?
that,
Can I see it?
yeah,
Oh, that's gorgeous.
yeah, I just got
Sorry,
her.
audio listeners, but wait, you
Yeah,
just
they're like,
got it. I love it. It's beautiful.
um, So I haven't been writing on that because the election has given me like
Oh
crippling
yeah,
anxiety, but now we can breathe again. So
finally.
you will see more posts there eventually. And then my podcast is Girls on Film with my dear friend Hannah Evans, who is also a queer woman who loves movies, TV, all things media. And sometimes we just don't talk about film and we talk about music, but you never know what's going to
You
happen.
never know. Sometimes,
No,
yeah, I like to read, but sometimes I do talk about the books but then sometimes I'm like I just talked about politics on the episode that will be coming next week, and we'll probably talk about random, we're going to talk probably more about
right.
movies than, but because so Addy and I were both film. You were film and English.
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was film and psychology, so we were in a couple, how many classes together?
I
Two,
think at least
three?
two. We were in Todd's class and the
Sarah,
screenwriting.
and were you in the senior seminar, the Disney class?
No, I wish. I was in her
Oh
senior
my
seminar about
god.
animals.
No, the Disney senior seminar was like Callie she was in it.
Mhm.
It was it was like the most ridiculous class I have ever taken. Sorry to go on a tangent, but it's like Lizzie and I don't even know what that journal is, but we have like a list of like the craziest things Sarah said. And like our final project was you had to create a traveling Disney attraction. So like an actual model of it. And
Oh
then the
my god.
presentation, and we did like a Mulan obstacle course, but it was like, we literally were like, I have like a scar, I'm pretty sure, from like a glue gun because we spent a class session just making, and I was like, this is my senior seminar.
That is my dream. I had to take 2 senior seminars.
Wait, so
So
what was the animals one?
it was like it was called Animals in Film, and I expected it to be more like Finding Dory and like cute animal
Or
movies, but it
like
was about
Balto and
yeah,
Lassie.
yeah, and Air Bud or whatever.
Right,
And it ended up being like an animal rights class.
Oh, which is
It
like
was
interesting but very different.
it was also very intense.
Sarah taught it?
Yes. And, we watched some really upsetting, like,
Oh, yeah,
animal
that's
abuse
like a lot. That's
stuff,
very different vibes.
but I missed out on the Disney one because I had to take my English senior seminar that semester, and
Oh, yeah, it was
incredibly
really
bummed.
like wild. Like it was like Friday from like 11 to 2 or something. And like I was high or drunk for some of the classes.
But
And it was like, I'm pretty sure Sarah like knew. And
oh, I
we
mean, it's
just,
senior year.
right. And we were just like, all like, I mean, I'm going to refrain from saying some things because this is a recorded episode, but it was great. It was full of crazy times. And then there was so we Todd's class, was it the 1960s to 2000s
Yes. Yeah.
class? Yeah, so when he opened with the would you rather be shot during Trainwreck or Dark Knight.
Mhm. Yep.
Was that your first class with him?
No, I think I took, uh, the
Theory?
prequel to that class, the
Oh,
theory class before that,
yeah.
and then I also was taking in tandem with that class, a joint class with him and one of my English professors about Shakespeare
Oh
and
no, I
film.
was in that too.
Oh, then we were okay.
Yeah,
We
so
were in
we were
more
in that.
classes.
Yeah. No, that class was also like so funny because it was like I don't know about you, but like I didn't watch or read anything for that class
I watched
except for
some.
10 Things I Hate About You. And I regret, like I should have watched at least like the Ethan Hawke Hamlet or something, but I'm pretty sure I was just like, it was senior year, so I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Uh
That one was long. The only reason I enjoy it is I did watch the, like, full Kenneth Branagh Hamlet where he does the entire play and he plays Hamlet, and he's a pretentious
Right.
little
Don't
fuckhead.
you remember? So I'm gonna humble brag and repeat myself from a story
Okay.
that but there was I think our midterm, and it was like I won Shakespeare insult band-aids because I had the best insight, which was that Kenneth Branagh producing that like appendix journal of his time on Hamlet is like another layer to his authorship because he is so pretentious that like that is part of who he is as like a director.
Literally.
Some bullshit like that. And I remember like they're like, this is the best and I was like I just was like, this is
Made
all
that up.
bullshit because haven't I went to class and I watched the clips and stuff and like I know
Right.
like I've read Hamlet and like I know
Yeah.
Shakespeare, but like Coriolanus, I could not tell you what that's about really.
Nope. No, me neither. I
But
still have. Hold please. I'm gonna
do you
grab you for
have
your.
the
So
book?
on my bedside table right here, I was just cleaning out. So I just moved back home because COVID. And when I say just, I mean I moved back home in like April, and I still
I
haven't
mean,
left.
that feels like yesterday. That's fine.
But these are like our literal textbooks
Oh
from
my
class that I
god.
found, and I have all of them. And I'm like,
Is
wow,
it is it comedy and tragedy? I see. I don't even know what the textbooks were because I.
it's like 4 tragedies, 4 comedies, and then I have like a few more over there. And I read some, not all.
It was a lot to expect us to read like an entire play and then watch like an entire like a lot
Right.
and with
It
other stuff
was
going on and it's just
yeah.
like how no.
I
Oh,
enjoyed having both of them as
yeah,
professors. It was
they're
weird to watch
they
them bounce off each other.
right, they had different energies. Todd's like a
Mhm.
crazy manic and he's much more like refined scholar type, but still like I guess they also took they taught us Star Trek and like
Oh,
something
I would have loved
class.
that.
I think that was just he told me they taught that like last year that they taught that together. I forget what it was on, but like that would have been amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's my favorite class that I took with Todd was teen films and Sartre because we got to like read Jean-Paul Sartre French as essentialism and then like watch Mean Girls and talk about it. And I was
Oh,
like,
I
this
would
is
love that.
I told him he needs to do that class again. And then yeah, so you were in English. So what like English classes did you take? I only took like a couple of Tony's
I
classes.
I stayed more towards the, like, fantasy and creative writing genres. I did take a Jane Austen class that was really awesome, but, I did take one of Tony's classes about horror and Stephen King.
Were we in that class together?
Maybe. It's so hard to remember because like,
I
we
don't
joined
know.
I join
You joined your
our sorority.
freshman year and I
Yeah.
joined, so we were both in Kappa Alpha Theta. I technically am still I was I don't know what it's called when you are in it but not in it for like
Oh, I don't remember what that's called either.
some sort of term. So like I'm technically
Inactive.
inactive, right? Because I just have like a
Mhm.
lot of shit going on, and I was like, I don't want to not fully be a part of this community. Like there are still some
Yeah.
people, like you and Cicadia, who I talk to. I know there's still like I still follow like for all the sisters listening to this.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
still
like, the
some
2.
right, but
Yeah.
there's still some that like like Ailish, like there's still
Oh,
some that I
yeah.
like interact with on Twitter and Instagram, and
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
I know you're cool. Like our paths just like kind of didn't line up in college, but like I'm sure as adults we would be like totally
Friends.
chill. But then there's
Yeah.
some people where I was just like, I think the biggest thing for me is like I had joined it in a time where like I was not sure who I fully was, and I was hoping
Right.
that like this would be because for all intents and purposes was a very diverse group of people, which
Mhm.
is what I liked about Theta. But then I think it's just the very nature of a sorority. It has nothing to do specifically with Theta and how it was run, but I think just like I exist in the gray area. And there's so many just like black and white rules and
Mhm.
restrictions, especially that like for something that you're already paying to do and then they're like enforcing.
Right.
I just remember one time they were like, your dress is too short. And I was like, bitch, I'm wearing opaque leggings underneath. Like,
Right.
why? Like stuff like that where I'm like, or it's like you have to do, and it's like I'm all about philanthropy and service, but then when it became much more of like a
Mandatory.
chore
Yeah.
and just and then there was some leadership things during our time as well that like it started out really strong I think when we
Mhm.
first joined, and then things
Mhm.
kind of just devolved for a little bit. So it was interesting. So I was in it for 2 years. It was interesting. I also lived in the house, and that was
The shit
the
show.
worst thing I have ever done. Like I mean I broke my nose when I lived
Yep.
there.
I was present at when that happened. It was like
You
that was only
you were president.
Oh, yeah.
You were
I
no.
was.
Are you?
Uh-huh.
I don't even see. That's how like, I don't even
No, I was
remember
there
because
because
Cammy was you were you
president.
after Cammy?
I was never president.
Oh, you
I
weren't
ran
president,
for president.
right?
Nicole got it. I did not.
You were
Um,
present. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you were president, and I was
no, no,
like,
no,
no.
no,
I
no,
was
no,
like,
no.
you were
I was
president.
present when that
No, right. I
happened.
do remember you.
Yeah.
God, so
That was like I think my like I will not tell the story because it's excessively long, but it was probably the biggest like
shit.
clusterfuck in the house, and
That
we
just
had
like
all it
cemented
was
it for
bad,
me. It
and
cemented it for me.
we're all new to the executive board, and so whenever something happens in the house, you have to like formally report it to the housing like corporation or
Yeah, there's all
whatever.
these like legal things that go in. It's not just
And
like I lived off camp. It was like kind of living on campus and like an
right.
accident that
It
happened.
was like
Yeah.
a dorm or whatever, and
Yeah.
it was like we had no idea how to do it, and
And
so there was like
so our house mom,
is an
sweet,
idiot.
I was gonna say sweet woman, meant well, but
Meant well, but not helpful.
no, no.
No, the first I went down to get her when you broke your nose,
Also, I
and
was locked out of my room. Let's not forget as well. I like after I left, I locked my. I remember. This is all coming back to me now. I was locked out of my room and like couldn't get back in after I was carted away in the ambulance.
mhm. Yep.
As you know, still have a little, very little
I
scar, but
see it a little bit.
it's funny. It's like the people who know, like they can
I
see it,
see it.
and right. It's like, but if you don't know, it's or like sometimes when I get, like my face gets a little red and or I'm drinking and it gets like this, but it's not. I love it. I'm like, it's got character. I
Oh,
was in a
right.
sorority for 2 years and I broke my nose when I was in it.
Right.
Like it's a great story. I think it just revealed I was already like way on the fence at that point, and I think
Yeah.
it just revealed like the way everything was handled, like the lack of community that I felt during that time, especially because like at that I always had my own friends like outside of
Right.
Theta, which I think made me a little bit of an anomaly because I think a lot of the people or like I had friends outside of Greek life because I think a lot of the people had friends in other sororities, but they stayed a lot to that Greek life bubble. And I think
Yeah.
that's also for me. I was like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so I lived, even though I had my own room, it was like, and also the chef that we were paying for,
Oh,
like, absolute
trash.
trash food. And just like we were paying, I was like, yes, it was an obligation, but like for the amount of money we were spending to live there, I'm like,
Yeah.
really, really?
Honestly, the only thing he made that I to
Did
this
you live there
day
the same year that I lived there? Did we live in the
yes, I
house?
lived upstairs.
Right.
I
So
lived
you're in one of the triples, right?
yeah, I was with, Kayla and Lauren.
Oh my
Um,
God. Right.
yeah, and I could not tell you who lived across the hall from us in the other
I
triple.
think I know. Um, Jordan
Yes.
Hope was for a semester and then she left and then like shit moved around, or was she there the whole year? She might
Well,
have, I don't
did
know.
norovirus were you in the house? You were in the house
Oh,
also?
that's so I also got neurovirus the
Yeah, me
week
too.
after I broke my nose.
Yes!
Fortunately, my mom was there because I had like an appointment. So I was like at a hotel nearby, but like that was one of the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. And that was
That
freaking
was
terrible.
so
It was
and,
so terrible.
Hope, the girl who lived across from me, didn't get everyone in the house, like, almost
So she was the
all
only one who didn't get it?
yeah, almost all, like, 26 women got it, but she, like, didn't ever touch anything with her hands. She always, like, turned the sinks on with her elbows and
Even
stuff and was
before
like
this, like that was just a
yes,
thing.
always. She was just very weird about stuff,
I had see that's I like I had no idea.
and I was in the bathroom. We had 1 bathroom on the 3rd
Right,
floor
that's the
for
other thing. So few, like
7
that's
people.
true in a dorm, but like I don't know, something about it there. It just felt like there was
There was not enough space,
no. It just was.
necessarily.
And the amount like you're like, oh, it's objectively a nicer house than the dorms, of course, but like
Right.
the rooms, like so I mean, like thank God I was able to have my own. Like I could not have shared a room with somebody else. Like
Yeah.
at that, it just I don't know. It was a lot. And then I don't
It
even
was yeah.
Did you
That
and then
house
you only lived there for 1 year. Did you live there your
no, I
junior year
lived
too?
there
Oh
I lived
god.
there so that was did you break your nose your junior year or your senior
Yeah,
year?
this is my junior
Your
year.
junior. So that was when I was a sophomore.
Right.
So I was only living in because I was on exec.
Right. So you were I mean that's the thing is I think it would have been better as like a freshman or a sophomore, or I don't think you could live as a freshman, but like if you have the choice of the UVM dorms or the sorority house, of course the
Right.
sorority house is better.
Right.
But also like if like and we couldn't have alcohol in the house even if you're 21, which I don't
That sucked.
understand. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. Like
Yeah.
just so many stupid like insurance things. It was like you couldn't move
Mhm.
your furniture around because of
Mhm.
like fire code. And I was like, what? Like,
The fire code stuff was, like, mostly on our house mom because like, she
sh-
left,
and
and
then
the new
everything,
house
no one
mom
cared, right?
yeah, the new
So
house
yeah, so
mom
you had a new house mom. How was that different?
she was, like, a very intense Jesus lady. Like,
Oh,
there's a video of her on YouTube on one of those, like, late night Christian cable
hmm
talk shows in which she calls God her daddy, like, multiple times. She was
Okay.
probably like 62. She was in a few of my English classes.
Oh, she was like a continuing education student. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she was okay until she started giving, like, nutritional advice, and
No.
I'd be in the kitchen, like, getting bacon, and Becky, I think, was with me at this point, and she's like, "You know that's just full of carcinogens, right?" Like, "Yeah, I do, but I'm gonna die anyways,
Also,
so."
didn't she buy it because they were the ones who did the house shopping
Yeah.
anyways, which was also
Yes.
annoying because it's like, oh, they went to Costco like once a week and got us stuff, and I'm like, how about you like actually get some gross if we're paying again all this money, and then we
Right.
couldn't even we had like hot plates because they wouldn't even let us use the freaking
The
kitchen
kitchen,
too. It's
'cause it's
like it's
industrial.
right, and I'm like, insurance again, really?
Right.
Okay.
I hated that, but I also
I mean, it was kind of a
loved
good excuse because then I was like, but I feel like I just spent so much money on
on
food
food.
because it would be like, okay, and like no shade to the certain people who claimed that they were vegan, but I think my biggest pet peeve, we're just getting really petty here, is that so I'm a
Fine.
vegetarian, but I'm a huge like egg and cheese and dairy, like that's where I get all my protein. So
Mhm.
there were, I believe, one or two people in the house who claimed that they were vegan. So instead of the chef making like a separate vegetarian and vegan option, of course, it's easier just to make a vegan option because that works for both.
Mhm.
That meant we missed out on dairy and all that stuff a lot. The people who were vegan were spotted eating meat and other substances various times. And so I was
Yeah.
just like, hmm.
I don't even recall who was vegan, but I could guess. I feel like the worst part of
That
living
shit like that was just like,
Yeah, I think the worst part of living in the house was living with people that you didn't like
yeah,
because
that too.
I mean, like, I really enjoyed being in a sorority. My boyfriend actually makes fun of me. Like, I'm literally in a Kappa Alpha Theta Quidditch shirt right now.
That's hilarious. I'm like, I look back on pictures and I'm like, who was she? Like,
Like, I joined kind of at the same place that you were,
you also
like
had a better group, like your class of people too. Like
Mhm.
it's hard joining. I mean, it's not hard joining as a sophomore if the people in that pledge, like who are your age are welcoming. I think the pledge class above me had like this super tight bond that was very
Group.
hard to break. And you had like a really good, nice group of freshmen in our pledge class was good. I think also it was just harder. Like I was already a year older. Like it's harder
Yeah,
sometimes the freshman sophomore gap. What I like when you're
right.
a senior, it doesn't
Oh,
matter. I don't
yeah.
know. So that was yeah, but you at least had some cool. But there was
Mine
some.
was fine. I
I
was
mean,
like,
fine.
yeah, I had a good time. Like, I think I joined a sorority because I was kinda like you were where how you were describing yourself in college, where, like, I didn't really know who I was yet, and when I joined as a freshman, I was actually kind of hoping to join a sorority that was more, like, homogeneous, like, so that I would just, like, become
Right. So it'd
something.
be easy to like slot into. That's kind of how I was
Right.
too. Like there was another sorority that I really wanted to get into, and then they didn't pick me, and it's
I
fine.
was
Uh,
my ref morning or whatever, like, the day that you're at
mhm.
2, I was at ours and Alpha Chi Omega, which arguably I think is
That's who I wanted to be in, and they didn't want me, and it's
more
totally fine
one
because it's fine.
thing.
Right.
Um,
There's not
and
as much interest diversity, I would say.
right. And so I was really torn on prep morning because I'm like, if I go there, I'm gonna, know where I fit and who I am. And I felt like Theta was a really chaotic group of women, which it was. And I think in a lot of ways that was great. And in so many ways it was a effing disaster. Like there were so many women that had I met them in any other situation, I would have
Totally.
spoken to them like once and never talked to them again. And some women who I would have been instant best friends with. And
And
I
when
think I
we're also we're only talking a group of 80 like so UVM just for the background
right.
for so we went to University of Vermont. The Greek
Yes.
life is very small. Our sorority
Mhm.
there's a population of about 10,000 students, and the Greek life is like what 1%, not 1%,
It's
something
like
small. They're
13%.
very under like 10 to
Yeah.
13%. And so our
Yeah.
sorority we had about 88 women.
Yeah.
So objectively small, but because I think there's sororities that have thousands of people in their chapters or
Right.
or hundreds even, but like felt like a lot of people, but
Mhm.
still close enough where it was like you couldn't avoid anybody.
Right. You knew and that's I think was a benefit and also a drawback
Yeah.
sometimes because like when I was on exec,
And so
I
you were the Panhal rep, right? And then
yes, which
what were you
is
after that?
I was online media director, which is a little bit of tea.
Is that a thing?
It's a cabinet position. I got
Oh.
nixed from exec based on a
Oh.
certain member's letter of like hatred about me to nationals. But I also found out who it was, so
Oh,
haha.
tell me after.
I will.
Um
Um, but I liked being on Panhandle because that's how I made like a lot of my
Right, because I remember you were
friends.
friends with people like which I always, so yeah, like you were the one of people who I always thought was cool and admired. Wish we had like gotten to know each other better during college.
Right.
Didn't happen. Oh well, at least we are now. But like you were always friends with
Yeah.
like people in other sororities, and like I admired that. Or like from other like one of your best friends was like in a different sorority, I think, at the time,
Yeah.
or something, right? Yeah, so I think that was always cool. Like there's so many other women who just stuck to the theta bubble, and like those were their only friends, and that was a big turn off for me.
Same. And I think I made really good I was in the honors college for my first 2
So, oh,
years.
did you live in U
I
Heights
did.
freshman year?
I
Oh,
lived in the fancy dorm.
biggest regret. Those were the nicest dorms. Like if I had
Yeah.
known about them, would have tried everything I could have to get like a private bathroom. Like what?
That was
Air conditioning?
yes. It was nice. I That's where I made my best friend. My roommate Magda and I were really close, but she ended up leaving UVM our sophomore year. So my best friend was a girl who lived next door, and I literally just like marched into her room one day. I like knocked on the door. It's like, "Hi, I'm your neighbor. Do you want to be friends?" And
That's how you do it. Yeah.
we became really close. And she didn't end up joining Greek life our freshman year, and she ended up joining, I think, her sophomore year, and she joined Kappa Delta, which was new on
Right,
our
right. Are they
campus.
still around? I don't even
I
know.
think so. I think. Yes. Um, Unsure. I know a lot of the fraternities on our campus have been disbanded, which God
Yeah,
bless,
also
because
the
I think
hypocrisy really bothered me so
oh,
much that like, oh, we can't have boys after like 10 p.m., like some fucking archaic shit.
like the
And
blatant
then
sexism
like the
of the
blatant
entire thing.
sexism. Like I don't care. I was actually glad, I don't want us to have parties because I wouldn't want our houses to get
I
destroyed.
want
Like
it to be quiet.
that was
Yeah.
fine. But I'm
Yeah.
like, if someone has a boyfriend, especially I had like my own room, I'm like, why can't boys are allowed to sleep in the dorms? So this is not like
Right.
1971. And so like
Right.
that sexist bullshit when the frats could just do whatever they wanted and have whatever they wanted. And they literally like had campus security guards at their parties. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, it's like sororities. If you have a boy after 10 p.m., it's
Well, and then I guess before our house mom, the unspoken agreement was if you had a boy on the main level, like in the living room
or the
or in the kitchen
basement.
or in the basement, it was fine, which
Right.
I think is totally fine.
Because I get
Like,
that some people are like, this is my bed, they're like walking around in a
right,
towel or whatever, and they don't want, but like on the ground, like if you're especially just like hanging out with like literally, what if a gay man is that?
right,
Like,
right.
is it because the threat sex is the threat? Like I mean, I wonder
I
also how they
guess.
deal with like transgender people and because we
Or
didn't, or
like it,
non-binary identifying people.
and you think of like women who um are romantically involved with other women, like how it like it's
I
just
mean,
not
and
an
also,
equal
yeah,
playing field.
I was romantically involved with another woman during my tenure at Theta, sophomore year. Yeah, I dated a girl for like 3 or 4. A girl, I was, and then I
Yeah.
felt like accepted definitely in Theta, but it was also like weird. It was definitely
Oh
like
yeah.
I was the only like openly bisexual queer person really at the time. And it
Mhm.
was like I had, no one said anything and they didn't make me feel uncomfortable, but it was definitely like
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just think I thought the whole it was hard because being on exec, you like understand, like I understood why we needed some of the rules, but then other rules, I was like, if everyone was responsible,
Right. And that's part of the
could,
problem too, is there's just like that one person who would ruin it for
yes,
everyone and then
yes.
make these rules. Yeah.
But I always tell, like, I was telling my boyfriend about like my college experience and how we would pregame parties at Theta
In
in
cars,
cars.
outside cap,
Yeah.
what was it?
Yeah.
No, not
Oh, no, no, no.
AGR,
Yeah, AGR.
parking
We
lot.
we
Oh,
had ours too, like on the side street, like by our house, not necessarily in their
oh
parking lot.
yeah, yeah.
And we called them cardies.
Yeah, I mean, I remember smoking weed in like people's cars, and then I
So
started dating.
dumb.
At least like second half of junior year, I started dating somebody who's a year younger, so he lived in the dorms. But that was still
Yeah.
better than Theta because I could smoke weed there and sleep at his dorm, and it was totally
Right.
fine. So I was like, so
Oh,
God,
I
that
was I
was
was happy I left. I was in the house my sophomore year and the entirety of my junior year.
Oh, wait, so you spent the
Um,
first half of sophomore year? Oh, right, because exec starts like
mhm,
midway. So if you get
halfway.
right, so then they can pull you in. It's like that's all this
So,
weird shit. It doesn't make sense.
but I was lucky because I didn't really my roommate in the in U Heights, even though those were the nicest dorms,
You
she
didn't have
was
a
leaving.
Oh, so you were potentially gonna be stuck
Yeah,
with, like, a
with a
rando.
rando, and I was terrified of that.
Yeah.
So, I got to move into the house, and then all of junior year I was there, and then senior year I had my own apartment with, my big who had graduated, already, which was nice because I wasn't living with someone else who was also in
Right.
college. But living in the house was fun except for, like, drama. The only time I ever got called to, like, our, whatever the fuck,
What
how
was
would
it
you
called? Is
it was called MDC, it's, like, Membership Development
Right.
Committee, but basically it's like getting called to the principal's
Right.
office. The only time I ever got called there was for bringing boys into the house. And it
You
was with
you you brought boys into the
I know, and we didn't
house?
even bring them upstairs. We watched Family Guy in the basement.
It's like
Um,
shit like that where I'm like, doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Meanwhile,
no,
frat boys can literally like gang rape
you
a
would
girl and it's fine.
right, across the street from our
Across the
home,
street,
so,
yeah. And we pay them to
um
park our cars there, so
right.
haha, they're nice to
It's
us.
I gotta love that full-on
So,
patriarchal
oh
values
my
in
god, it
college.
was yeah, because that's of course the other thing too is like we didn't have a parking lot big enough to house all our
No.
cars, so we had to pay the frat house across the street who already has the land to park our cars, which is just like I mean,
Stupid,
stupid,
idiotic.
stupid.
I hated them, but, um yeah, I got called in for bringing boys into the house, and it was with Kayla, and we had both gotten, we in college, we're both I was a very impulsive person, which I kind of still am, but we decided to get alien, like, the emoji tattooed
Oh, I like
on our,
that.
like,
I like that.
hips, and she got one on her ribs, and the guy she was dating at the time, who I actually think she's still with, and he's very nice, but at this point I wasn't a fan, he got mad or, like, kinda irritated that she did something so crazy and impulsive, and we went out downtown and just got obliterated and came home, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna smuggle these boys downstairs," and I didn't realize there was a camera on the back stairwell,
Yeah,
so
they know what they're doing.
they had the
But
security
Kayla was
down.
like COO, right? Like that's or something at the
Was she at
time?
that point? No, I
Maybe
think we
not.
had
Okay.
no, this was the semester after she and I were not I was, like, online media director at this point, so I had been, like,
And I
demoted
think
and
I
she
was
was
probably already out at that point because
yeah,
online media would
I
have
think it was the year after you yeah, I think
yeah.
it was the year after you left, and Um, she went into there's a camera in, like, the front entryway, and she, like, got on a stool and covered it with a jacket, and we, like, brought them into the basement, but obviously them on the way out was they were on camera,
Oh,
and our
so you could
crazy
have gotten
house
away
mom
with it.
well, right, if our house mom also didn't review the footage every morning, it would have been fine, but she treated the job like she was, like, the Secret Service,
Right.
which was unique. She
Yeah,
was
no, that's like
a
not again, that's
character.
because it's also like in a way it's refreshing because like I guess storms you have like RAs and stuff, but like you don't have somebody who's like in your business like
With
24/7.
security cameras?
Yeah.
No. Like, that's what I had an issue with was the cameras. I was kinda like, "I
I
don't
didn't even
love
think about that.
being
Would love to maybe see some
observed."
camera it's definitely deleted now, but like the camera footage of my accident would be great because
Oh, that would be yeah. That
fascinating. And
was
that's the other thing is how they can the choices that were made for the executive positions and like the people on it, like the vetting of the people was very
yeah,
questionable as well. That's all I'm gonna say. Uh yeah, it's like it's still so weird that it's like it was basically half of my college career for you. It was your 4
yeah,
years and it's like
mhm,
I literally like don't every so often I'll be like, "Oh, hey, I'm like Arrows, like my photo." I'm like, "Cool." Like, you know,
yeah,
someone who is it's like that, but other than that, like I don't think about it, but I'm like, "Holy shit, that was half of my college career." And like I would never be able to tolerate even half of the shit that I even did now. Like, first of all, like I'm addicted to weed. Like smoke all the time, that would
right,
just be a problem. But also just like
right,
someone again, like the oh, your dress is too short, or like I think I had like taken out my phone once to like send a text during a thing and I got like a they were like, "You can't do
written
that."
up. Yeah,
Yeah, whatever. I'm just like,
yeah. It's
no.
definitely and I think the one thing like, hearing you talk about it, like, it's definitely how I would expect you to talk about it based on your experience, but I have seen women who were in our specific chapter after you had left. There was one in particular who's on TikTok and, came out with, like, the secrets of being in a sorority.
Oh,
Um,
you need to tell me this one
I
too.
I will, and, um, they're all fairly true, but it's also everything that we tell you up front. Like, she
Right.
had a
So it's like
huge issue with the social media, keeping your social media clean. And I'm like, I get it. It sucks. But if you need to prove to someone you're like drinking and balling out in
Right. And
college, then
that's kind of just like
fine.
in general, like I would get a little bit annoyed. I think there was maybe like once that they were like, you
Right.
have to take this down. But like even now, like I mean, now it's just something you learn from like high school. Like you just don't post that kind of stuff all the time. Like if you want to be, I think what I did do like oh, I know also what pissed me off. So I twisted my ankle one summer, like in Georgia. One summer in Georgia, my ex-boyfriend from college, his mom lived in Georgia. So we went there and I just twisted my ankle. And so I was like, posted a picture of me. I was in like at Walmart, like one of those like chair things. And I was like, hashtag crip life because I was crippled and then
Right.
they were like someone messaged me and was like, some sisters have found this like kind of offensive, blah blah blah. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think that was even like after I'm pretty sure I was about to be in that might have like cemented my like inactiveness because I
Right.
was like, no, no, no.
Well, and it's hard because I think that when you're in a sorority, like by nature, when you're especially on the younger end of the people in a sorority, you kind of create your own cliques really fast.
Right.
And
Because you're
I was,
thrown into so much together. It's like this
yeah.
togetherness is like forced upon you.
And my first year, I was like, I do not get this at all. This is so freaking weird. All these girls are so excited for me to be here, and I don't even think this is important. And then going through recruitment, I was like, oh, I kind of get it, but I still feel like I had my group of friends, and I didn't necessarily like go outside of that group of friends until like there was a conflict with my group of friends, and I was forced to
Right.
find new friends. And now I'm friends with like everybody, so it's like all chill. But um, I think that it's a hard environment to be in general. Like it's just one of those things where I always say like it really taught me conflict resolution
Oh,
because
totally. I think for
it was
me too,
hard.
it helped cement like I also like when so I went on birthright right after I graduated, and that was another instance of like we are going to treat you like because I think it all comes down to like I get it, the objective, it's like the insurance and the liability and all that, but there
Yeah.
are ways to like say, hey, we get that all this is happening, but we're also going to treat you like adults because you are adults. And like
Yes.
you would hope that like, and then it's always the one irresponsible person who ruins it for everyone. But like our birthright trip, like they just, especially since I had literally just graduated and I like had also worked at Hillel, so was like familiar with some
Right.
of the people on the trip. And then it's just like the way they like assigned us roommates, and like our days were so packed. Like I have never been more exhausted in my entire life. And I really kind of started to like stand up for shit that I didn't agree with at that point. I was like, I'm in this foreign country. Yeah, it's being paid for, but like I wish I could go back to Israel because like the experience I had there was terrible, honestly. Like birthright was terrible for me. And they were like yelling at me for trying to talk to stray cats and stuff. Like
Oh, that would have been me. I would
so
have
well,
come home with
there's
like
so
some
many
in my
stray
suitcase.
cats, and I was just like trying to not even I was just trying to like talk to one, not even pet it, and they were like, Rachel, come here. And I was like, huh, no. So like I think it was Theta was really great for helping me sort of like establish what I don't like and really just like
Right.
not so much a lot of what I was silent. I'm not the kind of person who's going to like speak up for the things I don't believe in, but it really cemented sort of like, if you don't like something and you don't feel like you belong and feel comfortable, like that's okay. And also like, you don't belong in a place as structured as this. And like, I can't
Right.
in that sort of thing. And also just because like, I feel like I'm like, and you are like mature enough to like, yeah, we've all had nights where we like drink too much and get wasted or whatever, but
Right.
like you're a responsible human being. Like, and you're not a
Yeah.
16-year-old. This isn't a boarding school. It just felt like a boarding school for high schoolers. And
Right.
it's hard when you have people who, I think it was mostly like sophomores and juniors, but we did have a few freshmen. We did have like a senior. It just like you have all these different ages too. And it's like,
It's just
yeah.
like if you are a really mature person, it does become a difficult
Right, because there's so
challenge.
much there's pettiness too
Mhm.
among stupid, when there's the frat stuff, like I didn't even get involved in any of that, but there's,
Right.
dating this frat boy and blah, blah, blah. And it's also when our
That
school
was
was,
something I never understood
I
or
didn't,
was a part of.
and there's certain people who it's like they would go through the like flies and then like other,
Oh, people played fraternity bingo, like to
right. And
see
I'm
if you could
like,
sleep with every
I mean,
fraternity.
sure, whatever. Like I was wild in college as well. I don't think I ever really had a altercation with a fraternity boy though, because surprise wasn't my type.
No, me neither. Well, actually, I did hang out with one fraternity that was like definitely the group of guys that would
Was
have
it
been like the
Kappa
weird
Sig?
guys in no, DTD.
DTD, oh DTD, yeah.
Yeah.
They were cool. I think that we had like a few mixers with them, right? They were
Yeah, they reminded me of like us but men. Like
right.
they didn't really have a unifying characteristic.
Right. They were just kind of like the oddballs, but then there was also,
Right.
and I don't want to, there was another sorority that was like the slightly
Okay, hold please. I hear my
cool.
boyfriend
Oh,
thundering down the stairs.
oh, is he run? He's running.
Hello?
Oh,
Sorry.
does he want to make a guest appearance?
Hi. No, he's giving me wine.
Oh, so sweet.
Thank you. Guess what we're talking about?
This is a podcast about books, but actually
Uh,
this is just the sorority episode.
um,
This
we're
the
talking
tea.
about I was in a sorority. Did you know that? Yeah. I know. Okay. Thank you.
No,
Bye.
he'll appreciate this. This is the sorority episode.
Right. And it
Um,
sucks because I'm like, I think I gained so much valuable insight into like
totally.
women as people
It was a
and
fascinating, like sociological human experiment
right, right.
disguised as friendship, and
And it's like I
sisterhood.
still have very valuable friends from that time. And I won't discount that, but I think with a lot of those friends,
You would have been friends anyways.
right. And I also with a lot of those friends, I went through like very rough,
Right.
very
Because
rough
just
patches
in
with them.
general, college, like I have like Sean, who's like one of my best friends. I met sophomore year in a class, and like he moved out here in Los Angeles about the same time as I do. He's still one of my best friends, and like he's like we've been through so much stuff together, and like I think that's what it is like I got to meet people through classes, and like Lizzie, who's like still another
Mhm.
one of my like close friends from college, like I met them in classes, and like the professor like like I don't talk to like sorority advisors or like even people who are like older than us in sororities. Like my mentors are like my professors, and I think for
Right.
some people there was also just like that legacy aspect. Like the like the bigs and the littles, and I think that if you get a really nice like family that like draws you in and makes you feel that like closer sense of community, which I think you were lucky
Yeah.
to have, and
Yeah.
I was not so much. And
Right.
it's just it happens. I do love my little Zacadia, though we still are in touch. And she is a nugget because she was also the sort of person that was like didn't
Oh
really
yeah. No,
fit
she was
in.
it's
She
like I
also
don't
went
know.
inactive her last year, I think. Too.
Okay, that's what I thought. I
I'm
was like,
pretty sure
I
no, I think she stopped doing it her last year too.
okay. Because I remember like it sucks because there are a lot of people that I think my like I'm a overly type A occasionally um human being. So I really wanted to be in leadership and I was like super pressured by my family in the sorority to be in leadership and I enjoyed it. But I think that definitely like alienated me from some people because I think a lot of people were like, oh, she's friends with
No,
this group of
totally.
people that
Yeah,
can
yeah.
get me in trouble. And I'm like, I don't care though. Like,
Right.
but it was a fun, I don't know how to describe it because it sounds terrible when I'm like 80% of it sucked and 20% of
No.
it was good.
Because I think it's like, first of all, if anyone says they had 100% good time, they're lying because that's just
Right.
impossible.
Absolutely.
And I think, I
At
mean,
anything.
at anything, but especially sororities. I think it's
Right.
like we were lucky to have like a lighter version of what most people consider like the Greek. Like we don't have to
Mm,
like the recruitment is not rush, and there's
right.
they were really good about like not doing hate. I feel like they got rid of like the traditional type of hazing stuff, but through that there was a lot of like subconscious hazing and just like otherness that was happening that
Mm,
I think wasn't present, at least from what I saw in a lot of other stories. I think ours
right.
felt very just like divided, and it like again, it's like paying for friends. Like, I mean, I don't regret it. I think I probably would have had a different college experience if I didn't. Like, everything happens for a reason, and I'm
Right.
still glad the people who I talked to today and like
Yeah.
got a cool scar from it. I just think it's like I wonder what it would have been like though if I had like not joined and like what other
Right.
like avenue. Like, I mean, I didn't take much from it except what I don't like and what how to deal.
Right.
But
And I always say
that's fine.
like it sucks because I hate when people say it is what you make of it because I don't agree. I
It's
think
yeah,
I got
that's only sometimes true because there's things that
right.
you
It's
can't
sometimes
control.
true. You definitely have to invest time into it to get anything out.
Right. Which is why I gave
What
it
you
2 years.
right, and why you lived in the house. Like, I mean,
Well,
you had to live in the house, but like,
right.
I think living in the house also gives you like I don't know, it
It's
makes you more
really it's a
invested.
weird experience though that like I don't think like I remember people talking. It's very glamorized to live in a sorority house. You're like, oh, this is gonna be so fun. You just the
Yeah.
drama, that many women living together. It's just like,
I think I only ever lived on the 3rd floor, which was
and
only 7 women up there.
that's with one bathroom.
But that was okay because
Okay,
we all had such different schedules.
right. I don't even think it
I
was like.
liked it up there.
I don't even think like I spent like I mean I just basically spent time in my room because like I'm introverted and
Mhm.
I was alone. But it's like I was just I don't know like I didn't like to like hang out in the common areas. Like that wasn't my thing. Really, I don't know. It
Oh,
just
I dominated that downstairs TV room. There was a chair that a few of the
yeah.
younger members
I
called
just like
my chair,
I remember
and
watching
I would walk
American
down.
Horror Story every night. That was like
Yes.
the
Oh
one
my
show
god.
that we watched. But like other than that, I was just on my
What
own.
seasons were
It
on when
was
we were there?
Freak Show. It was Freak
Was
Show.
that
The clown.
okay? Okay.
That's season
Was
4,
right.
3.
Okay.
No,
Because that
because
was the one I think I
it was
stopped. No,
4. No.
I stopped watching that.
Freak Show was weird. Yeah, let me
It's
hang on,
give
let me because
you
3
fact
was
check us.
Coven. Uh,
Because I talked about how I ended up deciding or like wanting to be in theaters. I talked to like 3 members
yeah,
about American
it
Horror
was Freak
Story.
Show.
Okay. That one I watched most of, but it wasn't necessarily a favorite of
That was
mine.
a good one, but I mean, when you look at the other ones, I mean, I watched all of them, and
Me too.
there's some really bad ones. So like, I think Freak Show was like the sort of like tipping point, and then it
Yeah.
kind of just like it really because what was after that? What was American Horror Story season 5?
It wasn't Hotel right away, was it? Oh, what
Yeah, it
Roanoke happened? Oh, it
was.
was Hotel.
It
I
was
liked
Hotel.
Hotel.
Hotel was fun. It was like I don't know, something about the first 3 seasons, and it's also because the first 3 seasons all stand so separately, I think, but like
Right,
still
right.
so like Murder House is amazing. Like that's just a
That's the end all
classic.
be all. That is it.
Like and also like the weirdness and the over the topness works because it's like they're already ghosts and dead,
Mhm.
whatever. And then
Yeah.
Asylum, I really like. I actually watched Asylum first, and then I watched the first, or then
Oh,
I watched
okay.
Murder House. I don't know why. It was like a summer that I was in Vermont, so I spent both of my. Did I spend 3 summers? No, so the summer going into sophomore year, and the summer going into junior year, and the summer going into senior. So I spent 3 summers in Vermont, I think. No,
Okay, I
2,
love that. I
2,
never spent a
2,
summer in
2.
Vermont.
It's because I just like once I got that taste of independence, I was like, I can't go back to
Yeah.
it. And I like I worked and like I just like subletted from people. Senior year that like I had my own house with some friends. No, it was two summers. And one of the summers, I watched. And I remember like being home alone, like eating an edible, like watching Asylum, and that was like when edibles could like really fuck me up. And I was like, what?
That one I didn't finish. That's the only season I
Well, that's
haven't
what I
seen
was
in
gonna
its
say though, is it's
entirety.
like it's weird because it's like it's a
Yeah.
really cool like asylum like expose, and then there's like the aliens, and then I'm like, okay. I
Right.
Coven might actually be my favorite because
Coven
Coven
was my
I
favorite.
think Coven gets the tone right the best, like
Mhm.
just the
Mhm.
witchiness and like have you watched Scream Queens?
Yes.
I think like that's my favorite Ryan Murphy project, and I'm so sad that it was canceled because that was just like he needs to play up his camp.
Oh,
Sometimes it's
yeah.
like when his because people shit on Ryan Murphy, like especially if you watched Hollywood or Ratchet, the like most 2 recent things he's done, like they were not great. They were visual candy, I think, for me. Like they
Yep.
were aesthetically pleasing. They were great to have on in the background. But when you compare it to like the meat and the gravitas of Coven or Murder House, I was like very, very uneven. Or even like American Crime Story, like even that stuff
Right.
already exists, but like fantastic. Both OJ and the Johnny Versace ones were amazing. And then just like the later seasons of American Horror Story and stuff. And I'm like, bring back Scream Queen. Bring back Scream Queens. Like that's what we need.
What was the Roanoke was I think
Roanoke
arguably the
was,
worst
yeah,
season.
I think was the worst. I also really with this. So it was Roanoke, and then Cult, which was like the election-esque one, which was
Oh, I
also
saw that one, and that one was like too
not
on the
very good.
nose,
No, it
too
was very obvious. Yeah, Roanoke was probably one of the worst because that was like
fake docuseries, if I remember
right
correctly, right?
fake docu-series and like but then also ended up being kind of just like didn't work. I don't know.
Well, so I have a large love for horror. But like my two favorite kinds of horror are like the bad early 2000s, mid 2000s horror
So
that's fun to watch
yes,
while you're drunk or high and to just like laugh at how bad it
right,
is. We
right.
recently watched The Haunting of Molly Hartley.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, it's a good one.
Ace Crawford's in
I
it.
might have. I think I saw that one in theaters actually because
No
I was
way.
like, it's because yeah, I was deep into horror like middle school, like around like 2006, 2007. I was like deeply into horror, and I started to see like all those really bad ones. There's like I Know Who Killed Me, the Lindsay Lohan one. Have you seen
Yes. Oh
that?
my
So House of Wax, that was my all time
Oh, with Paris
favorite.
Hilton?
Well, yes, but Jared Padalecki. So I was obsessed with
Oh, me too.
Supernatural
Me
for a
too.
while before it went all like
If you
religious
were
and
weird, you liked
right, but like
Supernatural.
especially the like Monster of the Week, like the first few seasons, and like
Yes.
they were just such heartthrobs. So I was obsessed with Jared Padalecki, so I needed to watch everything he was in. So
Oh
I
my
watched House of Wax, and then I was like I don't think I understood it at the time. Like I thought it was just like a decent movie, and I'm like, this is so bad, but it's so good
God.
because it's
Right.
so creepy. Like it's a really creepy concept that I
Mhm.
always like envision now. I'm just like being turned into wax, but like being a human. But like pinnacle, like peak 2000s, like terrible. Like we got Paris Hilton, we got Chad Michael Murray, we got Eliza
Oh,
Dushku, like
just everyone
fantastic
that needed to be
cast.
in that was in that movie. And, what was the other one? The Roommate
Oh my god,
with
yes, the cat in the dryer. I saw that one in theaters too.
that part ruined my life. So I hadn't seen that one until
It's a trigger warning.
recently. And I have 4 cats, and I'm, like, obsessed with cats, and I was like, "This is where I draw the line. I don't
No,
want
that
this to
one was like
happen."
I remember seeing it in theaters too, and I was like, "This is yeah." There was a I missed out on
Horrific.
those times. Yeah, I and then I like watched like Scream and like some of the classics at that
Yes,
time
yeah, yeah,
too. But yeah, like watching those like mid 2000 early 2000s horror movies because it was also like the torture porn like was really
Oh,
coming into
yeah.
Hillary Neroni, our professor, has written an entire novel or not novel research book, Violent Woman, and that talks a lot about like the post 9/11 like torture porn and just like the
Yeah,
insane like body horror and stuff, just like the gratuitousness of it and with the bad acting and the
right,
bad writing, and you're just like, well, they had to make movies, so this is what they're
right.
doing.
Which I think so, like, this is totally we're just, like, gonna go one tangent after another,
Hey,
and that's
sororities to horror movies. I mean,
fine. This is how our brains work.
yes, it's fine. It's fine.
But I would love have you ever been to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando?
Yeah, I went the not nor I went to the LA
In the
one.
LA one,
Yeah.
okay. This is the only probably one of the only things that Orlando does arguably better than LA, but we have more houses, more scare
Yeah, they have
zones, all
more
that
space,
crap,
yeah.
and, I think that's where I, like, fell in love with horror because
So
they
how old were you when you went?
so I had gone when I was, 16 and 18 because my dad would have, like, business trips down there
Mhm.
around that fall break you had in high school. So I went and I got to see them set up for it, but I never did the haunted
Okay.
houses because I was such a baby until I was probably, like, 21. I never saw a horror movie. Um, and then when I went down there, I did the Disney College program after I graduated,
Right.
and I did a full year, and I figured like, my point of view while I was down there was I might as well buy a ticket for every
No,
single thing
yeah,
that
take advantage
happens.
because you're only gonna be there for like a
Right.
year or two. Yeah.
So I was like, "I might as well go to this thing." We get there, and with a, Florida resident discount and all this other stuff, it's like 100 it was like $120 to get a frequent fear pass, which basically means you can go every night of the week.
Which is smart too, because like when I went, I literally went to like three. We didn't get the front of the line thing, big mistake, and the lines are
Mhm.
so long that it was like I only went to like three of them.
Right. So I got the, like, frequent pass, and it starts in late
September,
September
yeah,
and goes to November. So in September and November, it's dead, and early
right,
October, dead. So we would walk into houses, like,
four
with
times.
5-minute lines, and we would just do it over and over again. And the only reason I was super invested is that year they had, The Shining, which I love.
I mean, iconic horror film, yes.
Right. I loved The Shining house, and then they had an American Horror Story house that I really wanted to see.
Was it
Um,
Murder House?
it was, 3 different sections. So it was
Oh,
Asylum.
they might have had that when I went. I can't remember, but
It
it
was
might have.
Asylum, and I don't remember the middle one. Asylum something, and
I don't
then
remember.
Roanoke was the end, and I was like, "I didn't even finish this season, so get out of here." And they had a Blumhouse or Bloomhouse. I have no
Blumhouse,
idea.
yeah.
Blumhouse, okay. One of my friends said Bloomhouse yesterday. I was like, "Have I
No,
been
no, no.
saying it
Actually,
wrong this whole time?"
Sean, he's always my humble brag friend. He's a marketing associate at Universal, and so he literally like works with Blumhouse and Peel on
Oh
like
my
marketing campaigns and like talks to them on the phone. I mean,
god. Okay, that's the dream.
it's the dream. Yes and no.
Okay.
He's
Stressful?
also very stressed, and
Yeah.
underworked and underpaid for.
Yeah.
I mean, overworked and underpaid,
Yeah.
but gets to do really cool things. Where I'm always like, so he like gets to watch all like the Blumhouse and the Jordan Peele movies like before
Oh my
everybody else because
God.
he like helps put together the trailers and stuff. Like very
Wow.
cool. Like
Yeah.
he's living the cool dream, except for the fact that it's like slowly killing him. But
Yeah. I mean, I think
it's
maybe
the
all,
trade off. It's the trade
yeah,
off.
it's a nice trade-off.
Like
That
I
that
have a chill
house,
job, but I'm like unfulfilled. So
right.
there's
I
that.
mean, it's what a time to be alive, honestly, in your early 20s, mid 20s, whatever we are
I call
now.
I call it the mid late 20s.
The mid late. I don't want to be late 20s. I
Well,
turned 26
I'm
like 2
20
weeks
I'm
ago.
26 and I'm going to be 27 in February. So once you hit 26, you're mid late 20s.
I
Sorry.
know, and I'm like, I'm not saying that out
No,
loud,
it's
but
just from Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is my favorite
I
musicals. So any chance I can have, and then people find it
little
clever.
reference.
So
Yeah,
I'll take credit for it when it's not due.
why
But.
not? But yeah, the Blumhouse house was Sinister, Purge, which didn't fit in the house well at all,
Right, there was
and
like purge people like just all over when I went. Like it wasn't like a specific theme. They were just like people in purge masks like everywhere who worked
okay.
there, and I was like, I don't like those.
We had so why I love Orlando's. I've been to both, but Orlando's has like organized sections of the street that are specific themed scare
They
zones.
just like have more space. Like Universal is smaller
Right,
here in general, and they just probably know what they're
right.
doing better.
Um, and honestly, it's the only thing, in my opinion, that Universal does better than Disney is
No,
Halloween.
definitely, definitely.
It's insane, and I think that
Well, because it's the more adults part.
right, and you get to. I mean, you would go there and get so drunk, and I'm not used to being scared. I get scared really easily, so it's being like drunk and almost like feeling you were on drugs because you got so much adrenaline from the
Right,
houses.
right.
And then if you're like a film buff,
Then there's
the
all that. Yeah, there
sets.
was like the Psycho House. I was like,
I mean, it was the Shining House to
that
me.
probably was so cool. Did
The
they had
fact
like
they
the floors and
executed
stuff?
yes, and they executed the, like, blood
Co-
elevator
Oh my
thing
god,
in such
amazing.
a beautiful, unique way. I was, like, slowing down at certain parts
Right,
because I
you're
was like,
like,
"I just wanna
scare
look at
me.
everything." Like,
Yes.
I just wanna see it all. Um, and I think that would be, like, my dream, like, friend date for us to go on would be, like, Universal
Oh my
Studios in
god,
Orlando,
yes.
Halloween Horror Nights.
Well,
Um
one day, or if you come to LA, I mean, that's the other bonus
oh,
of
yeah.
Sean working is so what 3 years ago or something, their company holiday party, they just like rented out, they closed the park except for the marketing
Oh
department, which
my
is like a very big
god.
department, but like then everyone could just like bring a guest. And so I got to like, and all the food was free too. This was
Oh
amazing.
my
And
god.
then now that this was like the best night of my life, maybe like we
Yeah.
literally were just like walking everywhere. I'm like, I had like four, because it's like, I'm vegetarians, but the
Mhm.
meals were like pre-made. So it's like if you just wanted fries, I'd be like, take the rest. And I had like 3 butter beers, and there was like no line for Hogwarts. And then like I'd already been to Universal at that point, but like it was just super cool to like do. I'm pretty sure the time I had been before, because I went when I like first moved here with my dad and my sister. We waited like 3 hours for the Hogwarts ride, which
Oh, wow.
is ridiculous.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
yeah, the horror nights. Yeah, so I went the first year, but I went to this thing called I like scary movies, which was just one of those like pop-up Instagram things. And they had like a Shining exhibit too with like the bathroom and stuff, but it wasn't
That's
like
cool.
it was a taking pictures type of exhibit though. It would be
Okay.
cooler if there was like, people
Yeah.
like jump. I want to be scared. I want you
Right.
to jump out at me.
Right. No, they had, like, a Stranger Things sort of, like, Instagram pop-up at our
Right.
hotel last year, at which I made my parents go
Very cool.
to Horror Nights with me, and we did a little cute, like, Stranger Things photo moment, and then they did have a Stranger Things house, which is the only way I got my mom into Horror Nights. She was
Like
like,
Stranger Things.
"I'm not going to any of these houses," and I was like, "Okay, Stranger Things and Ghostbusters, you can probably
Yeah,
handle. Like,
yeah.
you'll be okay."
Well, and it's they can't touch you, and that's the so
Right.
I've been to one here that was like, 'cause, we're in LA and we got all the weird acting performances. There's one
Yeah.
that I've been to called Creep LA, which is like an interactive performance. So you go in like a group of like 6 or 8 people, and there's like little vignettes that you're like guided through, but they're allowed to touch you and take you. So
Oh.
like I was taken
Mhm.
at the beginning, and like I'm all for it. Like I was like blindfolded, and they literally like put me in a cabin, and I was like separated from the group, and then like I had to like knock on the thing, and I was like, that's super cool. And then we had to like crawl at some point. But that was like enough for me. I've heard there's other ones where they literally like blindfold you and like you have to go to a mystery location. This
Yep.
was at least like a contained like warehouse like production thing. So I
Right.
felt fine. But like if I have to go to a mystery location or be blindfolded,
No.
like no, no, no.
Mm-mm. No,
That's too
no.
much for me.
Yeah, we did Georgia's kind of the same. I just recently moved home from a year in Atlanta, Georgia, which I would highly not recommend to anyone who ever wants to move there.
No,
Um,
like I said, when I visited Georgia and twisted my ankle, it was I stayed in like Alpharetta area, but
okay.
it was
Hated it there.
so many pro-life bumper stickers and
I
not vegetarian friendly, hot.
could not do it.
It's not it's like an emerging city, but it's just like it's southern. It's very southern.
Yeah.
Even though they claim to be
Mm-mm.
metropolitan. I mean, not that you can't be southern and metropolitan, but it's like
It's not fun. It's not fun. I went there, I did a lot of, like, background work and production assistant stuff, but mostly was a waitress, as all struggling artists seem to be in, like, every cliche Hallmark movie, and I was a waitress at a country club, and
oh yeah,
so,
I did
like,
that for a summer in between.
no.
The one summer I
Immediately
lived at home in college, but at least it was like a chill country
no.
club. No,
No.
an Atlanta country club. No, no, no,
No,
no.
didn't love it, and, but we have, like, really intense. Well, they called them really intense haunted houses. I did one, and to me,
If
it
you
was,
didn't
like,
find it intense.
too long. Like,
Oh,
so it was about, like, I think from when we walked into the house to when we got out, it was, like, 40 minutes, and
yeah,
to
it's
me, I'm
long.
like, you're, like, lulled into this. You're like, "Okay, I know what's gonna happen
Right,
on some
right.
level."
Well, that's
Like,
why I liked this creep thing that I did because it's cool once you consent to like being part of the performance and they can like essentially do anything with you. It was like very cool because like you didn't know what was going to happen and like everything was like super LA and like super
yeah.
weird. Like you had no idea. Like I went with my dad too, who of course is like trying to like make jokes. He's like, oh, I'm like, Dad,
Yeah.
like be cool.
Stop.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, they're trying to make jokes. But yeah, that was really cool because it was much more of like a performance. Like I don't think it was
Right.
necessarily like booked as like a haunted house and it was like an hour and it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
But anything more, I don't think I like if it's like a 2 hour thing, I'm like, I just would rather Haunted Mansion though, talk about Disney. Sad I went so the last time I went to Disneyland in February with Jason, my boyfriend, and the Haunted Mansion was closed for repairs though, so I didn't get to
Oh,
go on it. My
no.
favorite
That's my
ride.
favorite.
I
Yeah.
know.
I
Like
love that
the
one.
ghosts, they get me every time. I'm like, I know how they do it, but it's so
Oh,
cool.
nope, I just adore that ride and the
Wait,
Peter
did you
Pan,
go
sorry.
on the trip to Disney with me and Sarah? Were you there too?
Was
Or
that the time Rose was there? Or did we go 2
oh,
different
I
years?
might have gone the year before you. I don't think
Okay,
Rose
I
was
think
there. No, I went with
okay.
Callie and Lydia were there. It
You
was
went
like
the
my
year before me then.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I was like, for
but
you.
I did that trip as
That
well.
was really fun to be like, oh, we get
Yes.
credit for this. Super crazy.
Like, so it's such an easy, fun class, and that's
Right.
definitely what that class was the one that made me wanna go, like, work at Disney,
That's all. Yeah, because
which
we got to see I don't know exactly what we did, but we did like some behind the scenes stuff. And I was like,
background
oh
tours, yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh, this is like a cool place.
We did, I think when I went, we did the tour of Magic Kingdom, which was really cool,
Yeah, I
and
think we
then
did
we
that too.
did the Animal Kingdom behind the scenes tour where we got to kinda see where they, like, take care of the elephants and that stuff,
Oh,
and I ended up working
Sarah's
at
animal activism.
right,
Oh.
and I ended up working at Animal Kingdom
Oh, okay, cool.
for
Do they just
the
place
full
you
year.
anywhere randomly?
Yes, so when you apply, you sort of select, like, jobs you want, and I selected only jobs that you couldn't really do, like, somewhere else, so, like, I didn't wanna do retail, I didn't wanna do food.
Right, like you want it to be on the park's property.
Yeah, so I was like I applied for, custodial, attractions, costuming, and, like, front desk stuff because that's stuff I hadn't done before, and I ended up in attractions, and I ended up opening the well, not opening, I was there 2 months after it opened, but we were the
Close
first
enough.
group of interns, college program kids, and each interviewer could pick 1 person to go do this, and it was like this Avatar themed land.
Oh, is
It's
that
called
so that
Pandora,
open?
like
Yeah, I have never.
yeah,
I haven't been since they've opened that.
it's phenomenally beautiful, but when I got there, it was, like, average, probably, like, an 8-hour wait a day for the ride I worked on.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, like one of those types
So,
of things.
you were just thrown into, like, a environment where every single guest was really mad or
Of
crabby or
course, yeah.
just whatever, and, that was probably I loved working there because I worked there and then I worked in Dinoland, and they moved me to Dinoland because I didn't wanna spend a year doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I selected Move Me, and they moved me there because the guest relations ratings were so low. They wanted to move someone from like a high rated
Right.
area to a low rated area. And that was hard. That was like working at the county fair
Yeah,
after working.
that's like the least exciting part of Animal Kingdom. I've been there.
Yeah. And I didn't even work on like Dinosaur. I worked on like the carnival, like rides,
Yeah,
like the
no.
Triceratops one.
Lame, yeah.
But the Pandora thing was arguably like the coolest job I've ever had, like super underpaid, obviously, but
But for the
um,
experience, and you're right at college, so
right. For the experience it was incredible. We got to first of all, we got to meet so many famous people
I'm sure.
because
Amazing.
everybody was there.
Right.
Um, and that's where I developed my like strong, intense hatred for Ariana Grande. Like
I'm indifferent, but if
I really, I mean, like 7 Rings, a bop for sure. But like that girl, I want to rip that stupid ponytail off of her head. Um, but it was a really fun experience, and I think it's probably Disney's most intense endeavor besides like the
I
Star
want to
Wars
see
Land.
it at some point. Star Wars Land, yeah, that's what we went in February. That was like our main reason to go in February, and we didn't get to do like the
Yeah,
new Ride of the Resistance, but everything else
I
was
haven't done
like
that one either.
very cool. And,
Yeah.
did you end up getting a child for your birthday?
Okay, so I just ordered the Build-A-Bear
Yeah,
child
this is what
last night.
this is the Build-A-Bear
Oh, that
child.
is?
Yeah.
He's so much bigger than I
Yeah,
expected. Oh, he's so
I got
cute.
the Sorgan frog as well.
Okay, well, I'm so excited. That is coming in the mail like soon. I
Oh, you
ordered
know,
it last night.
it's amazing. Like I had my eye on it for a long time.
Oh my God, it's
It
so
sold
cute.
out the first run and then I got it on May 4th and I had to wait online an hour and then I got it. It's big. Yeah, it's big, but it's literally like Jason and I, well, mostly me. Jason laughs at me, but I'm obsessed with my child.
I can't. I
It's
can't wait for
and
mine.
I have a couple of other like child figures or whatever, but like this is the cutest plush I've definitely seen of a child.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I
Very
think
worth it.
that's like one thing that I think Disney should hire me to do with like zero experience or understanding of
Can I just
the
be like a Baby Yoda
market.
consultant? Like,
Right.
I'm like, anytime I have Baby Yoda hand sanitizer, which I'm just keeping as a
Mhm.
memento of 2020. I ordered a Baby Yoda scrunchie, which is just like, it's going to have the little ears.
Oh my God.
Jason is like, I almost bought something at the grocery store today, but it was $12.99 for like a little vinyl figure. And I was like, no, I don't need
No.
it. No. Yeah, at
We
least we stand Baby Yoda here.
Yeah. Oh my God. So we were watching the second episode of The
Yeah, I just
Mandalorian season
watched it. Yep.
2.
Mhm.
Yeah, last night. And I had like I mean, and when I say dropped hints, they were not like subtle, quiet hints. I mentioned this freaking Build-A-Bear Baby Yoda like 9 times to my mom, to my boyfriend, to my dad.
Like anyone who
No
wants
one
to know
bought
what
it
to
for
get me.
me.
Because they're
No
probably
one
like, oh,
got
she
it.
doesn't want. That's what Jason's like. You don't need another stuffed animal. I'm like, you don't understand. This is the best purchase I've made in quarantine. I love it. It's
Right.
so comfy and soft. Baby Yoda's the best.
I need one. And so last night we were watching and he was just so cute
He was
in
so
that
with the
episode.
eggs and every. Oh yeah,
And I was like,
that episode
I'm
definitely
buying it.
convinces you. Yeah, no, it's
So
so
I
worth
bought
it.
it.
Did you get the
And
sounds?
I didn't get the sounds because I have a tendency to sleep with like my favorite plushes, and I
I
was
could
concerned
only,
that I
yeah,
would.
no, no. I could only get it with the sounds when I got it. Otherwise, I might
Okay,
not have. I like having the theme song, also because it annoys Jason and it's fun. But the baby sounds I could do with that, but it's okay.
that's fair. But
It's
yeah, I
yeah.
got him. I got him, and I got Build-A-Bear makes like a Baby Yoda onesie for
Oh, I
him.
saw that.
So I got that too.
I got the frog, and the cup is like says like "May the Force be strong." It says something stupid, so I didn't put it on. But the frog is cute.
I
Very
am so
excited for
excited.
you. Also, my computer is about to die. I did not
Oh no.
plan well for this, so maybe I'll just stop recording.
Okay,
But
we can.
sorry to cut us
Baby
off
Yoda's a
abruptly.
good.
Baby Yoda's a good ending. I'm like, shit, I could just
Yeah,
keep
we're
talking to
good.
you. It's also, I try to keep my episodes like an hour-ish. This
I
might be
love that you do that
longer,
because
whatever.
we
I
have
mean, like,
no.
that's the thing is, like, I could talk to you for like 3 more hours, but like,
Well, I'm gonna spill the tea once we
yeah,
start.
yeah, I'll hang out.
Obviously,
So goodbye, everyone. I have
we
9%
love
left, so
you.
I'll get the tea after I'll get it before the computer dies. So don't worry, people.
Perfect.
I'll get it. But
You will
thank
get
you
the
so
tea.
much for joining, Addie. It was so wonderful to chat.
I
And
had so much
we
fun.
didn't
I'm
even
so
really
sorry
talk
this was
about
such a
books, but I am really glad,
no.
for people who want to get the tea on sororities and also want to know what season of American Horror Story they should watch. And should they buy a Baby Yoda at Build-A-Bear?
You should buy a
Yes, you
Baby
should.
Yoda. Absolutely.
And check out Addie's podcast and blog. They will be linked down below. And until then, stay reading.